But like a lot of people are saying like, and I have many different thoughts with this. First off, I've never cheated on any woman that I've been with and everything else. But people would say like when men cheat on women, it's mostly a physical thing. You just wanted the physical aspect of another man or another woman and anything else, and you just want to kill and then go. And it's like, as for women, there's an emotional tie to it. Whereas, a lot of women will not open their legs up or even, give the time and attention to a lot of people who cannot feed their intellect, their emotions like their boyfriend would. Right. Or maybe do it better than what their boyfriend was doing for them to cheat. So, there's multiple aspects to it. But yeah, no, just don't be a hypocrite. I agree.
Right. What you're saying, I think is very. I don't want to comment on that because it's just a side note because I wanted to get back to the topic. But a side note is it makes actually like scientific sense as to why that's the case because apparently men like I got this from Instagram, so like take for that what you will. Like I don't know. You have doctors talking on Instagram. I don't know how credible they are, but one of the things I watched earlier was like, and it makes anecdotal sense. That men, when they actually have an orgasm, sorry to get like explicit, but when they have an orgasm, it releases this chemical called oxytocin, which makes you want to like bond with your partner a little bit more. It's one of the love chemicals that like endears that emotion of love and connection. And men actually release that 400% more than women do when they have an orgasm, right? So sex is pleasing to the man 4 times as much as it is to the woman. Even though it may physically feel better for the women in the moment, the after effect of how that makes you feel for me, I think is a little bit more long lasting, a little bit more pleasing. That's what I've heard.
I mean, that could be true in isolation, but there's lots of chemicals that get released, and it's a very complex thing.
Also, I don't
know if it's just necessarily true that like I don't.
But you don't think? Okay, so but you don't think? I mean, but more. Well, actually, I've heard that actually more women might actually be cheating on men in America than men cheating on women, to be very honest. Actually, I think I've heard that too. I don't know. Does anybody know?
Where have you heard this from?
Hey, it's all Instagram, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just like, I'm saying it to Instagram so people don't think this is credible. Like,
But there...
A lot. I got you. A lot of women have said on social media, they say that, well, let me not say a lot. I've seen some women on Twitter say like, yeah, women cheat more than men because women know how to get away with it. Whereas a lot of men are very stupid about going about things, not as sneaky, XYZ. Again, I've never been cheated on and I've never cheated. So I can't really speak from experience, but at the same time, it kind of does make sense. You always see men being blasted for being toxic and cheating on people and this time. Because the things that they do, they're just not very strategic about it. Whereas women, I've definitely spoken to like friends and I've had girls say, like I'm never just talking to just one dude. You feel me? Because there's always a guy, for some people, this isn't all my friends, but for some people, they'll have a man that can take care of this need, a man that can take care of that need. Someone who makes them laugh, someone who could pay for gas, someone who could, cater to them when they're bored or XYZ. So, and then while all this is going down, none of those men would know about each other.
Absolutely.
So,
But are those men doing the same thing? That's the question.
They could be. So, society's fucked up.
Yeah, society's fucked up. That's the period. Yeah. That's the period. Modern dating is really, really crazy, bro.
But that's the catch-22 because for every, unless it's a same-sex relationship, for every woman that cheats, there's a man that's cheating. So
wait. There's for every are you saying within that relationship?
I mean, it depends on how you define it, but like some one of the parties doesn't have to be in a relationship.
Yeah, no, true, but
you're saying
still contributing to it.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying if a woman cheating on her husband or on her man, that the man she's cheating with, right?
He's still involved.
He's involved, right? Yeah.
I agree.
A lot of people would disagree with that. A lot of people would.
I mean, I've been in that position.
It's just like
because
where you were the one who was contributing to the cheating. And you consider yourself as the person who cheated.
I've also kind of been in a situation like, does that count as much? Like, are you necessarily to blame?
So to me, it boils down to whether or not I have respect for the men.
I was about to say the same exact thing. I always tell her like, I'm done doing this. By the way, I'm a changed man. I'm saved. You feel me? Stop. At the same time, I definitely got girls who have boyfriends and everything else. Like I'm no Mr. See a girl. You feel me? But at the same time, I always tell girls I respect your relationship just as much as you respect your relationship.
Oh,
so if the girls,
bars,
and the thing is like, you know, if a girl has a man and she said, you know, no, I'm taking him, that's cool. I have a lot of female friends, and all my female friends, I don't, even when I do meet single women, I don't go straight for relationship type things or sexual innuendos. I like having chill conversations.
Yeah, right, like a regular human being.
I'm calm, I'm cool. But if a girl says, oh, you know, he ain't gotta know this. Back in the day, if a girl say, you know, he ain't gotta know this, I'm like, you don't respect that, man? Why should I? You feel me? And that was very toxic on my part too, and that also brings in a lot of issues because, well, multiple issues from multiple different aspects. Just, I agree with you. You know, it's more so a respect on another man's thing.
So what made you change now? Like, why does your opinion differ now that you're a little older?
So one of the things that ended up happening to me with some of the women that I encountered who had boyfriends ended up dumping their boyfriend for me. You feel me? And then,
like, this was not something you discussed. Like, they just did that.
Yeah, they'd be like, you know,
they just dropped the bomb on you.
No, we just be having a regular texting conversation. They call me on the phone. Like, by the way, you know, I broke up with XYZ. I'm like, oh.
And they try to make a move.
I'm like, you know what? You feel me? Because one of the number one rules is like, if they cheat on
another man,
exactly. Who's to say they won't cheat on you?
Hello. It's crazy because I actually saw something on TikTok about that recently, and there's like this girl was like upset because she's like, oh, I was cheating on my man, and then like I broke up or whatever, and then she was like to the guy like, oh, so we together or whatever, right? And the guy was like, fuck no, and then she got pissed.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, there are so many people who were just in the comments like saying like, are you retarded? Because like what would you think exactly? And it's crazy because it's so crazy that happened to you, because I never thought I would encounter that in real life, because a lot of women think they slide doing that shit. And I think I mean, obviously it goes both ways too. Like, I'm sure women are smart enough to think the other way too. But it's just like, it's crazy how people actually come up with that mentality just to be like, oh, I can just drop this person for the next person. Like, no, like, if the other person that you're with actually has his brain too, like, they're just there for the vibes, you know what I mean?
Right.
And another thing too is that a lot of people will leave one relationship to go into another relationship thinking that, or not even thinking, when you're cheating on someone who you've had ups and downs with to someone you've only had ups with, you're only seeing the honeymoon phase within that person. So even if you left this dude and came to me, who's to say I'm not just like that dude? Yeah. Because you didn't get to know me on another level other than
they think the grass is greener.
Yo, that's what I'm gonna say. It ties to that saying where they say it's like the grass is not like people always think the grass is green on the other side, but it's really the grass is green where we water it.
But you just need to do your research. I mean, and this is the thing actually I think about most people in life. In almost all areas of life, this is where people fail. And honestly, this thing is actually, I'm Christian, so I read the Bible. It's honestly in the Bible too. They say like, my people die because of lack of knowledge, right? This is the same thing with everything that happens in life, right? It's the topic behind, or it's the reason behind grass is greener. People don't do enough research before they get into something, before they want to make a very strong economic or life-changing decision, right? You can't just go off of your gut. To be honest, I don't believe in like going off your gut. Like, yeah, maybe sometimes your gut is right. That's totally my chance, bro. Like, you need to research into things that are gonna impact you in a very tangible way, right? So, for example, she let her man, like for you, don't know nothing about you for the fact that you got, you're having great sex. That's about it. Like, so know nothing about your personality, and know nothing about your background, and know nothing about who you're about, what your beliefs are. Who's to say you're not worse than him? I mean, you having sex with her, and she's got a man. You know what I'm saying? It's not based on principle, not based on value. Like, what are you judging based off how you're gonna have a great experience with this
exactly
person? And you're not doing any research into it.
And the thing about society too is that I think, which plays a lot into the whole social media thing. So if you do have that podcast with the different generations, be very smart.
Yeah.
But everybody looks for something better nowadays. It's very sad. It's like you have something good here, but you think just off a glance,
Right.
that person's gonna be
Person happy.
that person fine. That person,
Yeah.
I want to. Why when you have something good back home? You feel me?
Contentment,
There's no way.
Sometimes people just can't be satisfied, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
And it's like you gotta start thinking like you're blessed. Why literally ditch a blessing to gamble?
Yeah. To gamble is the key word.
I could never, would never. If I'm locked down with somebody, it's clip. But at the same time, you know, a lot of people don't believe that. And social media will have people thinking that they have options.
Hinge, Tinder. I mean, all propagating it.
Oh,
Yeah, because people always propagate like the proper images to have like multiple options and all that stuff. But in
Yeah.
reality, it's like sometimes you got to realize what you got going on is way better than what a lot of other people got going
Literally.
on. People always like misjudge or misvalue what they got, and this is even not just relationships, just in general. Just people just don't realize what they really have until they lose that thing, and it's like it's just crazy. It's literally crazy.
It's terrible.
I think it's unfortunate, but one of the symptoms is our generation has a very short attention span, and I think that that's one of the symptoms.
Right. We expand on that more because I feel like that's very important. It leads me to what I want to talk about. So expand on that more. Like that's a really great point.
No,
The short attention span. What does that have to do with relationship? What does that have to do with dating? What does that have to do with people?
I just feel like we're conditioned, especially since a young age. Maybe our generation is kind of saved from it in the early parts of our childhood, but the later generations, like they're just constantly plugged in.
Yeah.
TikTok now and Instagram Reels are more popular than YouTube videos in certain ways, and even
Absolutely.
YouTube has that component.
I mean,
Of shorts, yeah.
Because we have these 5-10 seconds where we want to release a dopamine, and then if we don't get that back, then we're not gonna. We want that. We short bursts of dopamine releases, and
Right.
and
Life's supposed to be consistent dopamine release. It's
right.
not true.
And with relationships, like I think you have to be patient with your partner. You have to get to know them. That's a whole period of time, and I mean, this is why we have sneaky links, right?
Yeah. I mean, and you know, so this brings me to my next point because like what I wanted to say on this topic is that, and this will help a lot of people, is people forget that like a relationship is a journey. You know what I mean? It's like the person you're gonna join with is not going to be the person that you end up being with for the rest of your life or the rest of the next couple of years you guys decide to date or whatever it is, right? Like, you know, people are addicted to the fact that if this person's not meeting my needs right now, this person's not meeting my desires, this person's not fitting the picture I want, I'm gonna go find someone else who is, because I can swipe for 30 minutes on Hinge and find someone who's literally like algorithmically matched to me. You know what I mean? And it creates a false scenario where people think that they could just go get anything that they want and not have to work for it, right? Like that's not the truth. If you are with someone, I'm a personal proponent. Like apparently, there's a statistic that you can be with like there's like you can be lifelong you can be lifelong partners. Like you can be soulmates with like 1 in 600 people. Apparently, that's a stat. I don't know how much I believe that, but all I know is that I know for a fact that two people put their minds together in a relationship and say, these are things that you do I don't like. These are the things that, and then they tell me the things that I do I don't like.
Yeah.
And if we make an intentional decision ourselves, okay, I love you enough that like, and love is not a feeling. It's like the action of love in me enough to go and change myself, to conform to, or not to conform, but more so to like benefit your life, like to be there for you. Like I'm going to change myself so I can be the best version of myself for you.
It's about growing together.
Exactly. Yeah. Growing together into the couple. Yeah. Not the individual people, into the couple that you want to be. Right? Because every relationship is different. Everybody has different priorities and stuff, and there's concessions you need to make, there's adjustments you need to make. But people have forgotten that. Like they don't want to work on themselves anymore. I just want someone who like immediately fits into my ideology. That's not.
And then if it's not, it's on to the next, and that's never really the case, bro.
No one's ever gonna be. You're never gonna find that perfect person because no one's perfect.
Yeah. But I also think that there are people who are more. They easily go into relationships and they're serial daters. There's people who just easily get into a relationship, try to figure out if it works, and then come out of that relationship. But I mean, I'm guilty of both. I'm guilty of kind of moving on to the next and not taking the time to figure that person out and trying to adjust myself or like find a way to grow together. But I'm also very for lack of a better word, picky. Like I want somebody, like I want to find somebody that I can see myself growing with, and if I haven't found that yet, and that's why I tend to not go for that individual. But I think that's important.
You're
too.
a strong man for that, bro. Strong. Great job.
Just having standards.
You're goaded.
Yeah.
It's like
People
exactly
think
what
that
you
men
need.
should have standards.
Word, nah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
For like
No,
this
no, a
thing, it's
lot of
not
people
like
can't do that.
you should have standards and all that shit. It's
Exactly.
just like you obviously, if they meet some of your standards, no one's gonna. It's like very small percentage that like somebody meets you like full cookie cutter mold. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's just like
right.
there's like a lot of people, they just don't do that. They're like,
right.
boom, next,
Fine, word.
swipe, whatever. Like you'll do all that. Like they'll be on to the next in a heartbeat. But like
Right.
you got to really like pick and choose your battles out here. And you
How
know,
about this? How quickly, when you meet someone, can you make an initial judgment
Whoa.
on whether you think they're gonna match that?
Oh, I have some thoughts on this.
I think it depends on the setting, personally. Because for me,
I
like,
think it depends on the setting. I've never. Heard
I
that
agree
before.
with that.
because
Whoa, I've
because
never heard this before.
so like a lot of my friends and I like we'll go to like concerts, we'll go to raves, we'll go to like clubs and stuff on a weekend, whatever. That's how a lot of my friends, I think probably at least 90% of them have met their significant others, and they've been in long
In
standing.
raves.
Yeah, like it's weird. It's weird to say. It's weird to.
No, right? No. Hey, single man,
Hey,
I'll put the bandwagon, right?
Once
Thanks,
links,
the
I got you,
relationship
bro. but it's straight up the truth. But like the same way how I say that, it's just like those people have taken numerous amounts of times to go through those processes with other people to find the right person. Like it's like I think you're just asking like how quickly can you judge someone? I mean, like initially you don't really go into like those settings thinking like, oh, I'm gonna find that person, but like it's just really a matter of like one, I guess, how you meet them, and two, like the interactions you have post those meetings too, because a lot of people go to those things for quick hookups and flings or whatever.
I was
Yeah,
just
for
about
sure.
to say 3 is intention.
Yeah, it's intention too.
So 1, 2, 3. Sorry, for you. 1, 2, 3. What was it? 3 again?
It's
You
like-
go first?
He said 1, 2, and I said the third thing is intention.
What was the 1 and 2?
Like the setting and I guess like the conversations you have afterwards, or like the way
So
you
setting,
matriculate
conversation
that
afterward, and
afterwards.
then intention.
Yeah.
That's just, like, if you were to, no matter what your intention with someone is,
Yeah.
essentially like categorize what kind of relationship you anticipate having with them. Is it easy for that to change in the future, or if you've kind of boxed them as a sneaky link hookup?
I think
Could that change, or is that kind of something that you've almost categorized?
I think
into?
I see the valid point in that question, because a lot of
I
people,
see
once you
someone, I'm
see
like,
someone for a certain
You're
way,
gonna be like a long term. It might work out, it might not, but like that's what
Yeah.
I see this as being.
and then once people, especially if they see you in the latter where you're just like a short-term thing or they don't take you serious, it's hard for them to change that mindset. But I think it depends on the person who set those boundaries to be like, how's like firm are you on those boundaries?
Word.
How
Word.
like how hard do you stand on those things? Because it's always going to take amount of series of like actions and things to prove otherwise. It's just a matter of like how firmly you set that belief on that person. You know what I mean?
Word.
I think the word expectation is also important as well when meeting a person, because
It's kind of like what he's saying here.
Yeah.
Right.
I've had many encounters, which is actually very sad, with many women that if I didn't A, have sex with them, or B, just be their boyfriend straight up, they just, I don't want to say ghosted, but they just cut me off. And I'm cool with it. Like, my detachment level is decent. So, but at the same time, it's like, you don't know what type of person I am, never even got to know me and everything else, but at the point that you met me, got my information, and texted me, you expected me to be something more than what I wanted to be, which a lot of people do a lot of times, which plays into intention. You wanted your intent with me or with whomever that you're speaking to might not be the same as the person that you're talking to in terms of intentions. So now, because you had such high expectations for another person, or maybe if you had low expectations for another person, you're disappointed yourself one way or another. And
I see.
and
Facts.
because now you're not getting what you had expected, it's turning you off or it's upsetting you, and then you get moved off and go on to the next. So I just feel as though like people should not have heavy expectations, because a lot of times you should not expect that I just met you guys. I'm not gonna expect you guys gonna be my brothers. You feel me? This might be the last time I see you. God forbid, of course.
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's have you back on the
yeah,
show. Like, it's been
facts,
goated.
facts.
Like, what are you talking about? I know what
Yeah.
you're talking
But at the same time, if I meet a girl on the street right now, I'm not gonna expect her to be my wife.
about.
You
Right.
feel me?
Right.
I like to play into friendships first. Let's see how things go. And then from there, maybe you can be a sneaky link. From there, you can maybe just be a friend. from there, you might be the mother of my kids. But at the same time, you know, I like to
get to know them before you make that
exactly.
decision.
So playing back into his original question, do you think like it's important to set those intentions like early on, like initially? Because a lot of people I don't think don't do that, and that's why they fall into the trap of what you said.
You can check my phone. Any girl that I've ever texted, I always let my intentions be known up front. And my intentions is always say, listen, I'm not looking for a girlfriend right now. I would like to get to know you. This and you know, we could just be friends. Sometimes girls are like, I was even thinking like that. Like I was just trying to be cool. So I'm like, shit, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the homie now. That's the sis. That's calm. But then a lot of times, if you don't let these intentions be known, someone's feelings are confused.
Absolutely.
And that's where people will feel played or feel tricked and everything else. And it's
when
like,
you never committed to anything.
Exactly. But they have to know. They have to know that you never committed to anything. Absolutely. You have to tell them your intentions and say, listen, I never agreed with this. Here are the receipts. Because I let my intentions be known from day one.
He said, argue with us.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the dynamics at a core have changed in dating. I mean, if you, like, the one thing that I realized coming out of college is a lot of the relationships are built after you have sex with that individual. It's not like you don't like take a girl out in college as much. I mean, there are obviously
this is true.
changes.
This is very true, actually.
But then,
that's a fact.
When you come out of college, like, girls set that expectation, and guys do sometimes too. Like, I want to get to know you. Let me take you out to dinner, see what happens. If the vibes are good, we'll see what happens. But I think when you meet somebody in an environment that's like a bar, a club, what have you, like, it's very different because there's not that opportunity to really like drill down and get to know somebody. And like, I hate to say the word courting because it's such an old word, but that's kind of lost on us in a way. I mean, I feel like a lot of the best relationships I've had has come out of that period where I'm like getting to know that person and then maybe have sex with them like on the second, third, fourth day, whatever. But like after having gotten to know that person, because if you hook up with somebody initially and then you decide what your feelings are afterwards, that's way more complicated.
Yeah, because you're already attached.
Yeah,
you're already attached. I mean, you know. That's why you know a lot of religions will argue, you know, that the principle is to not have sex before you even get married is because of this confusion that you talk about.
It's crazy because a lot of people nowadays won't even validate you talking to someone unless you actually do that to have sex with them.
Oh, have you? Oh,
they don't even validate an actual relationship situation.
Oh, does she even like you?
Yeah, it's like exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Which is crazy. Why is that the validation factor for love? Why is that the qualification of a good relationship?
I will say that I do believe that sexual chemistry is a thing.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
No. This is true. It's definitely valid.
Yeah. I'm not saying that you have to, you know, kill before marriage and never that. I'm just saying that it's understandable to me. Again, like, I'm not saying that I fully agree with it, that people would want to have sex before marriage because they want to see how another aspect in that relationship plays out between the two. Can I feel comfortable with you seeing me in this light? Do you satisfy me in these ways and everything else? And if not, can we talk about it and evolve from it and everything else? If not, we might have to find somebody else that pleases us in another way.
Right.
No, I agree. Like, among many other tenets, I do think it's an important part of a relationship.
I mean, sex is definitely one of the major pillars of a relationship. I mean, like we just said, like how many chemicals are involved throughout the idea of sex that allow both the other sides to bond. You know, it's a very interesting concept you bring up because, you know, I guess that's one of the things about religion that I'm trying to kind of better understand because it's like this sexual chemistry thing. I know that this thing is kind of real, right? Where it's like there's some people that you may not be, I guess, sexually compatible with is the idea, right? Because I mean, there's so many other factors other than just like sex in itself. Sex has components, like, you know, what kind of things do you like to do during it? Like, you know, like what kind of, like how many times do you like to do it? What times of the day do you want to do it? Like, I mean, there's just so many other factors in it. Huh? Are you a freak or are you not? Are you like more like, you know, yeah, I guess these are explicit topics, but it's like, you know, I mean, legit though. There's some people who like don't like to do freaky things. You know what I'm saying? And there's people who like to do freaky things. You know what I'm saying? And if you're with a partner that doesn't like to do something freaky, like that might be a breaking factor for you because sex is like such a very, you know, emotionally involved part of the relationship.
You gotta zoom in on his face when you see.
Yo,
I
yeah.
I definitely will, bro.
While you're typing.
Yo, zoom on
Are you
his.
free?
Zoom in on his and zoom in on ours, bro.
Word, bro. Like,
Yo.
I'm gonna do like the really grainy zoom in too, like the
Word.
really deep zoom in.
And then you
like,
just see us two like, what?
eyebrow
Yo.
expressions, like.
No.
Oh my god.
No, but that's a very anyway. But on a serious note, that's actually a very interesting point. So I wonder if there's a way, you know, where post marriage or post being in a relationship, is sex also something that you can grow into? Like, you know, in the same way that somebody is like, you know, they're not going to be the perfect person for you. Is the concept also valid within sex that like maybe when you first met them, they're not the sexual partner that you desire, but if you talk about it,
In
if
fact,
you
I think not
know
only
them-
just, I
you
think
can
it's
grow
an
into
important
it.
part of it.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But I will say I think there's going back to the idea of sexual chemistry and getting to know whether you're compatible or not. I think there's a lot you learn about respect within sex as a whole, both from the female perspective and the male perspective. Like from the one thing that always frustrates me sometimes is like there are certain girls who kind of either don't do foreplay or like I'm always down to like return the favor.
You're right.
But there's like a level of respect, like if the guy doesn't return the favor, the girl doesn't return the favor, like
Listen to this Mark, right?
This guy's hilarious.
I like you talking about some real stuff. This guy's a poet.
those are all things that you learn from that experience. And
Right.
like,
Oh, so like
they
if
can
they did it
translate.
for you, and if you didn't do the favor, oh, like so the idea of returning the favor can speak volumes about like the kind of person they are. Is that what you're trying to say?
Or respect that you have.
Those things you have in a person,
But I
right?
think I mean that's kind of the shallow perspective, but it's also like the idea. Like I remember like most recently I had an experience with this girl who was virgin, and she didn't feel comfortable enough to take it to the next stage.
Right.
So I feel like, I mean, I like to think that I'm respectful. So I told her like straight up, I was like, hey, like I'm willing to do whatever you're willing to do, and I kind of let her lead the way in this experience.
Right.
And she did that, and I think there's a lot of guys who are like, the fuck, like I'm here to do what I need to do. Like if
They
you're
play
not down, I'm
business
gonna
for
walk
them.
out the door.
Mm.
So it's from like a deeper perspective. That's the things that you learn from like such an intimate experience.
If
That is
anything-
true.
What sacrifices are you willing to make?
If anything, you could easily just compare it to from a transaction to a relationship.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because a lot of relationships nowadays are very transactional, where it's like, if I don't get what I came here from you, then why would I do what I?
Because you have options, bro.
All over social media, they just made another list of where to take women and not to take women.
Oh
and
my
other,
god, I
Right,
saw that.
Right.
Like
Bruh.
why? In
Right.
order, and then a lot of men will do these things too, because you know you can't just blame one party without the other. A lot of men will do a lot of things in order to get with a girl, have sex, or see. That should never be the case. Like I feel as though if you want to hang out with somebody and get to know somebody, that should be it. Done. I understand men will be like, why do I have to pay the bill? Why do I have to split this? And, if you can't just spend a little bread on girls for her to eat after you already put on hundreds of dollars in makeup and everything else just to take her out and enjoy some time with her, then that's the issue. Like you should never always see to it that you get something from
Honestly,
an interaction with somebody other than
I never even understood
Combo.
how that even became like a big enough topic. Like I thought it kind of like
it's crazy.
it felt to me like we were just degrading as a society because I'm
Totally.
like because like growing up
Totally, bro.
growing up it was like all right, like you just when you go out for a date, you want to lead kind of the experience. You take a girl out, you plan the experience, you plan the like whatever food after experience, whatever activity, all that stuff. This, that, the third. It's just like we got people complaining about like, oh, like who should pay on the first date or who should do this. I'm like, first of all, like, I mean, if a woman wants to openly pay or whatever, that's fine. That's totally fine. Like women are allowed to make the offer, make the gesture. And if anything, it speaks to me about like, how that person carries himself too, because it's really generally expected that the man should do it. But like the man's going to complain and be like, oh, like, why am I paying? Or like complaining about a gesture that's kind of like a common thing. It's just like, I don't know. Thinking about that just makes me like, it's like, damn, bro, like how far we really fallen, you know what I mean?
The way I look at it is I think it's whoever leads in that date should be the one to pay, and that can be traditionally the man. I don't think necessarily it has to be.
Yeah.
But if you're the one who's planning the date, asking
whoever
the
leads.
person out,
Wow, that's
whether
actually
it's a
very
guy or a
interesting.
girl, right? If you're asking
Yeah.
another guy out, like if you are the one to lead the date, you should be the one to
Exactly.
pay for
And
it.
especially because it's
Wow.
people are taking out time out of their day for whatever things they got going on. Like you mentioned, like girls be putting on. Oh my god, we can't even get into a discussion about how long it takes for girls to get ready, bro. But like, I'm just saying, no subs. I love y'all, but they be taking forever to get ready and like all the stuff that goes into it, and it's just a matter of like just respecting that person's time too, because like at the end of the day,
But that
Okay.
is, like, I think there's been times in my life where, like, not the first date, but like down the line where like a girl will plan it, they'll take you out, they'll pay. That feels good.
it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
It does. That's what I'm saying. If a girl offers, I'm like, I'm down to be the sugar baby. Yo, down to sugar mama. Let's get it.
This real?
Yeah,
I mean, someone I've been seeing multiple, like, it wasn't like my first date, but like, you know, like, it doesn't always
Yeah.
have to
I'll
be
raise
the
your
guy.
kids. I'll be at home.
Yeah. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's like, oh shit, like,
Yeah.
yo,
I mean,
like,
again, in these situations, I don't necessarily think guys and girls are that different. There's a societal standard, and
yeah.
there's roles that people play into.
Exactly.
Word.
That-
That
that's
can
really
be
all
great,
it is.
right? Like,
It's really just the gender rules.
I think it's just the most part guys ask girls out because it's like the societal standard. So that's why like we tend to like pay for the experience.
Well, devil's advocate.
Word.
What if though? Because at the same time though,
Yeah.
men and women are biologically different, and there are certain things that maybe according to evolution. I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Like, what if this is the case?
Yeah.
Right? That certain, people with, so for example, a man or a woman, right? Like they're maybe chemically wired or maybe already wired to do certain things or to be a certain. So for example, people would associate women with being more maternal and like being more caring, being more empathetic, being more able to deal with the emotions of the house. In fact, men and women actually aren't the same because if you think about it, and this I believe because this is a statistic. If you look at corporations today, top 500, Fortune 500 companies, if they're mostly women, they tend to have, if they're more women than men, they, on average, I think the statistic was like, have like 6.1% more of a chance of being profitable than an organization that was run by only males, right? And then if it was like a organization that had both male and women at the top, that was like 9-point-something% more profitable, like in the long term. So it's like women are different in the way that they think on average. And I'm wondering, is that because of society and the rules that we fulfill it into, or is that because women actually are chemically different? A thing is, people, and you know what? Actually, I think it might be chemicals because, or biological, because last point is, people talk about trading, like traders. Apparently, women are supposed to be better traders, like on average, than an actual male. I mean, talk about Wall Street traders. Women tend to make more money. That's what I've heard. So I mean, like, what do you say about that? That can't be society, right?
I guess one interesting.
It is.
Okay. Okay.
This is kind of separate, but maybe similar. I've heard that in general, again, I think people are just different, right? But like in general, men are more interested in things, and women are more interested in people.
Okay. Okay.
In terms
I
of
like
what
that.
excites them and what, you want to be interested in what you work in. And there's certain fields that, in general, are more people oriented and more social that tend to be where the different genders have more interests.
Okay.
What about introverted women? What about introverted women?
Again, there's a wide spectrum on both. And
Right.
they heavily overlap.
Right.
Especially
But if we're talking
introverted
about
women.
differences, yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you think about introverts, they're very selective with the people that they
Anyway.
associate
Right.
with.
See, I can't see.
So if you could actually break down a woman's walls and, have a conversation with her as a person who does not want to converse with the rest of the world, you did something real right.
Wow.
You feel me? That's why, like, every single time, like, I see on social media, like, yo, the mean girls, I love talking to a mean girl.
For real?
I target them first. Why?
Whoa.
Target is a crazy word. I am so.
We know what you meant, bro. We know what you meant.
Yo.
We know what you meant, bro. Don't worry.
But-
Man said,
but yeah,
man
but-
said, lock on sight, boy.
but yeah,
Sorry.
if you talk to the girl that don't give everybody else attention, and you get her attention,
Word.
bro.
This is
Word.
all.
I mean, it's rewarding, isn't it?
I swear to God.
Yeah.
But
Alright.
back to the.
So is it a challenge for you? You just like out here trying
I
to
love
get
a
like
challenge.
different like levels to this shit? Like,
I love a challenge.
nah,
And again, I'm not like a hoe or nothing.
I got you. Don't worry, bro. We got you, bro. It's a no judgment zone.
But yeah, no. Back to the thing where you were saying, is it a societal thing? I truly do believe that. I won't say it's predominantly a societal thing, but at the same time, women have been pit against men many different times and in many different ways where they have been forced to work harder than men in order to gain the same amount of light or shine or recognition or acknowledgement as men.
Whoa.
So because of that, I know my mother has busted her behind to get to where she is.
Right.
What type of values is she in? And I have 2 little sisters. My little sisters are busting their behinds to get to where they're trying to get to as well. You know, and I feel as though you're only going to see it cascade down as generations go, depending on your environment. I do believe that everybody is a product somewhat of their environment to a certain extent. And because of that, women have been doing better than men because a lot of times men, I don't want to say have been getting babied, but at the same time, they have not had to work as hard as women. Yeah, exactly, because it's just given to y'all. It's given to us. I say y'all like I'm not a man. I'm sorry. Hey. You know what I mean? So you know, the simple elementary to middle to high school to college to get a job, that's regular for men. But at the same time, a lot of women that even I know had to stray away from a lot of different standard paths in order to find a sense of success for themselves.
Absolutely.
So because women are pioneers, bro. They're warriors. They're very strong, and because of that, they are doing a lot better in a lot of different. I don't want to just say environments, but environments, for lack of a better word.
Wow.
Than men.
This is a very profound argument you've made. I don't think I've heard it anywhere else. But like really what you're saying, like my understanding of that is women have to work so much harder to get to where they're at. The women who are at the top running these companies, they're stars.
How about this? How about this? As a black man working in corporate America, how do you feel?
I mean, it feels lonely. Like that's probably the best word to put it. It feels. I mean, as a black man working in like corporate America, like top, in top companies, sometimes it feels a little isolated. It feels like a little. I wouldn't say anybody's like discriminating against me or like marginalizing me, but it directly
definitely had it to me.
Directly, I mean, like I've never had an experience like that. Of course, that obviously happens to most black men. I've never had, but even the fact that that hasn't happened to me, I still feel marginalized. You know what I'm saying? Like I still feel like I don't talk about baseball like everybody else on the same floor. I don't talk about hockey. Like,
I don't talk about golfing.
I don't talk about golf. Like I talk about rap music. I talk about things I'm interested in. I talk about Christianity. I talk about things that I love. Like that. I mean, and obviously like that there's stuff that we can both relate on, but like for the most part, I was raised in a completely different culture, and sometimes in corporate America, that feels like, because they don't know me enough, there's some underlying assumptions that come out sometimes too. Even okay, so I guess I don't know if I've been discriminated against, but there's definitely been comments that fly at me on the desk, stuff like that's like, you know what I mean? That's like, you didn't mean that bad, but like you definitely shouldn't have said that. Damn. Yeah, bro. Let me tell you a story, bro. Like, honestly, one time at work, bro, my boy comes up to me. He was like, his manager, I think they had like a bunch of stuff. I think they had like soul food or something. I'm not even gonna lie. They had like soul food, like that they were bringing into the office, and like, they had like the choice between like maybe like a burrito or whatever, and then like maybe some fried chicken. And the manager goes, and all innocence is like, "Oh, you want this one, right? You want the fried chicken, right?" It's just like, what? It's just like, and he just says it with a smile on his face, like as if nothing is wrong. And it's those kind of experiences that, as a black man, you feel like a little, isolated in the workplace.